here I am getting ready to build an agent for my website. In this particular module, we're going to be focused about knowledge and topics. Okay, that's our focus areas, knowledge and topics. But as we plan any agent, we want to think about these three pillars as we start digging into what we need to configure and develop to get this agent optimized for our audiences. The first thing is to spend some time thinking about intent. So here is an intent checklist. To define intent, think about intent as a very important aspect of any type of agent, because in order to know what to do next or how to answer a question, the agent needs to understand the intent of the end user. What are they trying to achieve? And we saw a lot of that in Module 0 as we went through the introduction to conversational agents earlier in this series. So what's on our intent checklist? I have 5 key things, although I'm sure you can add others based on the way your company manages its projects. But these are the things that I'm calling out specifically for Microsoft Copilot Studio agents. The number one thing is to engage the content owners. Very often, a maker may be tasked to build an agent over content, and that maker is not the one who authored that content, who manages that content, who understands the publishing frequency of that content, and therefore they are at a loss for how the content is being managed. And if they run into any problems with the way the content is structured or written, they need to be able to talk to the content owners and kind of manage any necessary changes that could be needed in order to improve AI readiness. Okay, so first of all, I would get myself 1 or 2 contacts from the content management team for the website or the actual owners of the content who may be authors of that content, and therefore they're deciding how that content is published on the web. At least one person from that group of people would be extremely beneficial as you work to iterate and improve your agent. Secondly, it would be a good idea before you build the agent to look at the search analytics. Okay, every website has analytics being drawn on it, and Google has a search engine that's completely free. In case you haven't been tracking that yourself, you can configure search analytics, which will give you an idea of what are people searching for and how often they find what they're searching for and what things they don't find. This is really powerful information to start your agent off on the right track, because understanding the audience is critical to the success of your agent. Thirdly, you want to review service escalations. So, does your website have a group of agents that can be escalated to? Does it have a support team that a user might escalate to? Looking at those escalations to people can help you to see some areas where you might be able to reduce the number of escalations because you will account for the things that provoke them. I wouldn't guess on these. I would look at your actual metrics to give you that data. Fourthly, draft some intent targets. All right. Basically, what I mean by that is when you put this agent on your site, what are your targets to help people locate? For instance, are you expecting your customers to be looking for a particular product? Are you hoping to surface a product that they might not know about? Draft a few key intent targets that would really kick up the return on investment on your agent. And then we're going to build with those in mind. Lastly, list some expected utterances. I would try to get at least a dozen. You're probably wondering, what do you mean by utterance? Utterance is anything that they type to the agent via the conversation chat. Okay. What are some things you expect them to ask? Okay. List at least a dozen of what you think are the top or most common utterances. And again, this helps you in the building of the agent to target the right conversation flows and to make sure you're supporting what is most expected by your audience. Okay, so this is the checklist where you get to be an expert on intent for your website. And then based on what you learn from this intent checklist, now you can do the other things, okay? Including build the agent. Literally, if you don't have this checklist done, the building of your agent is going to suffer. Okay, secondly, you want to check the index. All right, every knowledge source has an index. And yes, indexes are different from one knowledge source to another. But when we're talking about websites, we're talking about the search engine index, okay? And you'll hear the term SEO, or search engine optimization. Whatever is in that search engine index is what the AI agent will see. If it's not in the index, it will not see it. For instance, in the previous module, we added a document with comparison of dog breeds because our index had no information about those particular dog breeds. So we had a choice. Either we add pages to the website about those dog breeds, or we upload a document that supplements the index. And that document, once it's uploaded, is also indexed for the agent. So the index is really important. So a good thing to do after you have your list of expected utterances and your intent targets, to literally go out to bing.com and start searching for those things and see if your website comes up with them. And I will show you kind of an easy way to do that. All right. You also want to check for when things don't come up. Very often it could be factors related to the metadata tags on the pages and or complex JavaScript that might be used to create the pages. Certain JavaScript components, actually many JavaScript components, will be excluded from the search engine index, and therefore the agent will not see that content. Okay. Also here I put, if any page is listed no index, that's basically telling the search engine not to index that page. And so therefore anything on it will not be summarized by your agent. Thirdly, you need to understand site hierarchy. How is the site built? What URLs and what levels of URLs are available? That's the first question, and we'll look at that. Are there any legal or geographical boundaries that would change where the agent would get answers? So do you have a particular section of the site dedicated to one region over another to another region? Those notes should be made. And are there any pages or levels of pages that we want the agent to avoid using? Okay, let's take a quick look at this on a real site. We're going to go to Microsoft.com. And we're going to look at each one of those points. So the first thing I want to look at is intent. Now, what I have done is created a simple spreadsheet, and you might want to do this too, but use whatever tool is comfortable for you. This is a simple workbook in Excel where I have one tab says intent, the other tab says utterances. On the intent, I am listing the priorities for the topics for intent. So I'm thinking here, and from a business perspective and from an end user perspective, what do I want people to find? What answers are top priority to me? Well, right now, this year, we're focused on laptop sales. So that's priority 0. They must be able to access answers related to Surface Pro laptops. Okay. Second thing, lower priority than that is the ability to locate Xbox consoles. Okay. Now, back to what I suggested a few minutes ago. Remember to use your search analytics and your service request escalations to help you decide how to set the priority on these different things. Raise priority on things that often cause service requests so that you can reduce escalations. Now on utterances, I'm just kind of typing what people may type, and I might do a dozen of these. An example utterance is, what is the newest Surface Pro device? And I expect that the answer should be Surface Pro 11th edition. And I even indicate where that is on the site. So I don't have to do the Microsoft.com piece, because everybody's Microsoft.com on this agent. But I am specifying at what level would you find that response. And then I test it and I see if it passed. All right. And so basically, if I get that answer back in my agent, it's passed, right? So if we go look at my agent and we ask that question, right, we should get that answer back. That's a pass. All right. Now, in the troubleshooting module, we will go through all the steps of troubleshooting problems here. But for the sake of this video, I want to point out that if you get the right answer and the right citation, then this is a pass. Okay. If you have any issues, then make there room in your spreadsheet to note those issues that you have. Okay. Just put them in the notes for now for those top important utterances. All right. And when it comes to checking on Bing, let's just show you how I would do that. I'm going to go to bing.com. And on bing.com, I'm going to type that or paste that question, but I'm going to specify site colon. If you use Google, you might use URL colon, but I'm going to use site colon Microsoft.com. So what I'm doing by adding this site colon is I'm saying, I want you to get that answer from that site. And then I hit enter, and it should get the right answer, and it should go to the page I saw, right? Now, here's what's important. The only reason I would do this is if I find that I didn't get the right answer in using the agent. Now I want to check and make sure that the content is in the index. Okay, that's what I mean by checking your index. There are other tools on the market to check your search engine optimization parameters. And so you can use whatever's comfortable to you, but I find this to be the easiest way to find out if the answer to my question is actually in the index somewhere. And then the last thing I said was to worry about the organization of the site. Here I am on the Microsoft site. You want to pay attention to the structure of the site. What do I mean by that? Well, for instance, you've got multiple elements in your navigation. You may have a top navigation, you may have a flyout navigation, whatever it is. What's important is how the hierarchy of the site works. So, for instance, right here I'm on the home page and you can see that I am just at Microsoft.com. But if I click on Teams, you'll see that I am now a level deeper in Microsoft Teams, and I'm on a specific page under Teams called the group chat software. Now, the assumption could be made that everything about Teams falls under that level, but I wouldn't leave yourself to make assumptions. I would check with the content team, and this is why I say always have at least one contact from the content team to help you to validate your assumptions, because understanding the hierarchy, kind of how deep these things go. With Microsoft, I do know for a fact that there are some redirects which actually open up new paths. So this is a relatively complex structure, but you do need to understand your structure so that you can help the agent understand where pages should be promoted or even demoted in the case where you don't want to use them in your generated answers. You also want to be able to find the pages that have the answers to the questions you're asking that are failing. So if you ask a question and it does not find an answer, you need to be able to know where that answer should have been found. This will help you tweak either the content or the prompt to get to the right answer. Okay, so we're going to stop here for this particular module. And my call to action to you is to go look closely at your website. And this is whether or not you're planning an agent for it. I'd like you to take the exercise of evaluating the wins for an agent on your website. Look at your search analytics. Look at your service request trends. Look at what people have been complaining about or you find that they can't find, and see if you can identify areas where AI infused agent would completely help your audience. So that's your call to action. Think about it. See if you can figure out who your content owners are and maybe connect with just one of them, and kind of think about the value here. That's for now. That's all you need to do is your call to action, and I'll see you in the next module.